your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy walk.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good to say, I doubt it will stand up to social. I have no disrespect for you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Welcome to the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. Hello. It's me, your host, Chrissie Mayr. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So if you're listening on iTunes right now, give your girl a nice review, won't you please? Man, I am excited for this episode. But before I bring in my very special guest, I got to let you guys know about a couple of dates. I'm going to be in Philly in 2 days. Get your cheesesteaks ready. I'll be in Philly Wednesday, September 14th, headlining at Helium Comedy Club. Then I'll be in Springfield, New Jersey for 2 shows this weekend, Friday, September 16th and Saturday, September 17th at Scotty's Comedy Cove. Kevin Dabrowski will be at these shows as well. Another super funny dude. Then I'll be headlining in Bridgeport Thursday, September 22nd at the Stress Factory out there in CT. If I went to college with you and you're secretly following me, you should be at this show. That's all I'm saying. Then I'll be heading to New Orleans to do 4 shows at the Comedy House, New Orleans, Friday, September 30th and Saturday, October 1st. Then we got the Comedians of the Compound at the Orlando Improv, Thursday, October 27th. Come see me, Gino Bisconti, Anthony Cumia, Alex Stein, Lila Hart. Immediately following this show, we'll be starting our 48-hour Content House live stream from Orlando, Florida. That is going to be a shit show. I can't believe Content House is less than a month away. Going to be fun. We're all going to get monkeypox. It's going to be great. Can't wait. We got a bunch of people sending us drinks and things. We got to get a coffee sponsor. That's what I'm working on now. Guys, quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode. It's Cushy Dreams. Man, we love Cushy Dreams here at the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. Do you know that they are #1 for smokable CBD flower and Delta? Have you guys even heard of Delta 8? I don't know what this is. I think CBD technology is going faster than I can keep up with. Their stuff helps with sleep, relaxation, feeling good, and more. And they just came out with a bunch of gummies that light up your brain like a Christmas tree and make you feel giggly and warm and fuzzy and awesome. I love this read. They sent me a bunch of gummies. Maybe I'll try one out, see where the day takes me. Cushy Dreams has Delta 9 THC gummies. Yes, Delta 9 THC. That's the real deal. OG THC, and it ships legally to you. Each gummy contains 10 milligrams of THC, and they come in 4 euphoric flavors like strawberry, sour watermelon, green apple, and tangerine. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited to try these. I'm excited to get a little bit weird, get a little relaxy. I think I need some help falling asleep these days. It's because I'm drinking coffee until the minute I shut my eyes. So go to cushydreams.com. That's KUSHY dreams.com. Check out promo code CMP to get 20% off your next order. This is good for your first, second, fourth order, etc. Get your gummies with promo code CMP. Get your 20% off today at cushydreams.com. I love their packaging. Very professional. Love these guys. Yes. I'm unshowered today, but I'm so excited to have this guest. He is a comedian that I have adored and admired and respected for years. He's so fucking funny, incredibly talented, incredibly productive. He's a beast. If you haven't seen him on stage, you have probably seen one of his viral sketches on YouTube or on social media. He's got a special out right now, his third special, I believe, and you can watch it on YouTube. It's called White Immigrant. He's also the host of the Boys Cast. Ryan Long, welcome to the show, Ryan. Yeah.
YouTube squad. YouTube's getting too professional.
You think?
Yeah. The way you're running your show, it's like, I'm like, it's more professional than a late night show here.
Wow, that means a lot. Holy cow, Ryan. What a compliment.
Isn't that fun? Isn't it kind of true though? Like everyone's running their operation pretty aggressive now.
It's pretty crazy to see what you can do as like a single person. I mean, like it's me and Frank, like we're just two people. And then you go, wow, this is all that two people can accomplish. Like, what the fuck are these networks doing? Like they have all the money, all the time, all the space. They're not doing this in the corner of their bedroom, trying to keep the dogs from coming in.
And then on top of that, the other way around, where the people that were just like, yeah, I'll just make some videos. You're just like, dude, it's like way past that now.
Yeah, I mean, your boy Brian Stelter lost his job at CNN.
I know. I'm trying to get him to be the third mic on our podcast, so we're working on that.
He's
reached out to his
now.
people. He has a big rider. He said, he's like, listen, he's coming into the studio, but you might not know this. Like he does demand a lot of money, and that's flexible, but we're going to want M&M bowls. We want, he wants live turkeys, and then he wants also dead turkeys, so we can choose depending on his mood, whatever he's feeling.
Your fucking sketch about Brian Stelter was the most unexpected but hilarious thing. I watched it like 40 times in a row, and it was just like all your sketches are funny because you do this really amazingly smart like commentary on everything, culture, politics, and but I love the Brian Stelter one because you're like, he's just like, he'll steal your girl, Brian Stelter. He's got a big hog or whatever.
Yeah, I like every once in a while doing the music videos. That's what I like. I feel like that stuff that's probably the ones that make me laugh the most. Like every once in a while doing like a music video, but they don't do that well, but they do okay. But there was this one where I would like have this band that would like play songs for women, and like that was the one that I would always think those are like the funniest sketches, and they would always kind of bomb.
I'm gonna pull up your YouTube channel. Your YouTube is absolutely crushing it. You've got how many videos over 1 million views? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 over 1 million, and a lot of them are pretty darn close to it. And
now they only want shorts. YouTube's really trying to eat. YouTube just every 15 minutes decides on a new platform that is going to try to be. I guess that's everyone now.
They want to do shorts, to take away from TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah, exactly. But like every person at YouTube is like, it's shorts, and they're pushing them like way harder, and just like, I feel like no one likes them. I feel like the users don't like them. I feel like the people don't like them, but so hopefully it's temporary because they do sort of go through changes, but they're pushing that like hard right now.
And I've heard that the shorts don't necessarily help anyone make more money or get them necessarily like that many more views.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's probably like a boring conversation, but it can and it can. But I'm currently
Tech chat with Ryan.
Yeah. I feel I was about to like say the word algorithm, I was like, no one cares. But
some people care. A few people in the chat probably care.
I'm banned from Facebook currently for 24 hours. And
what did you do?
Dude, I put this video up that was a short, and it was pretty not that crazy. And then it got taken down from TikTok, and then I peeled that, and it got back up. Then they took it down again. Then Facebook, I got banned for 24 hours. And then like I got back to my like TikTok shadow ban, and then Instagram took it down too. So it's like,
what was the video about?
It's exhausting. What race is the craziest girl? And it was like pretty not that crazy.
Dominican.
Yeah. It was some people said that, and then there was like a guy, he was saying like, black girls are crazy, but white chicks are crazy in a different way. It was like really kind of down
That's
the middle.
A conversation worth having. Yeah, every race is crazy. Well, every race of woman is crazy, and we each have a separate set of skills.
Yeah. Well, I think the consensus is that like there's the two types of crazy. Like the hey, I'm gonna like come trash your house and like go through your phone, and that was more the like Latino crazy and maybe even more like black crazy. And then the white crazy he was saying is more like of almost like a deranged crazy, where it's almost like, just like I don't even know if I want to like be here anymore, kind of like
A white girl will become best friends with your mom and make it virtually impossible for you to break up with her. Like if they'll weave themselves into your life so tightly that you'll just be like, oh my God, I'm afraid to let this person go.
Though that's the more crazy that's way more likely to just like poison you little by little over the course of time,
Yeah, why key your car when you can just like,
No,
the call's coming from inside the house.
Yeah, they don't key your car. They key your brake pads like a little bit more every day.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, like that's this is the game, You're always just like you're on the lam. Being like making anything that isn't super normal, you're just like constantly on the lam. And it's not even just, what the funny part is, like I feel like a lot of like kind of, let's say, down the middle like conservative people will like talk about censorship a lot, and you're just like, yeah, except it doesn't like the only thing that it happens to like your average kind of middle of the road conservative on is probably the trans issue. That's the one thing that it only happens on. But I feel like sex stuff probably gets censored right now just as much as anything.
I think have you commented about, I don't know if you've done a video or not, but the idea that like I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you're not really censored, like you can do it, and then some people will straight up get a Twitter suspension for a week over a tweet. And like I think what's really such a huge blessing about being a comedian is finding that balance of like getting those truth bombs out and maybe planting those seeds, or at least like not that I fucking know everything, but I think you can really kind of get a lot of things past maybe the algorithm or whatever, the censorship hall monitor, because you are clever with your words and you have a sense of humor, which kind of it can be sneaky and help you when you're trying to like let people know about stuff.
Yeah, that's comedy versus other things, I think, for sure. Yeah, and really it's like kind of say wild stuff and not like for the mainstream opinion versus not that are the censorships, right? That's why I think that there's certain people that like by all intents and purposes have super like allowable opinion, but they just like love the trans issue because it's like the one issue where it's like a pretty consensus opinion that's not allowed.
Okay, so it's an easy team to fight for, because who possibly at this point is going to be like, yeah, let's transition our kids, like more queer books than libraries.
I think that's like I would say that's like a consensus opinion, like across, not even, politics. You know what the other one that I feel like, not even on censorship stuff, but like, I feel like one thing I was thinking a lot about was like, if you think of, like most internet commentators, it's kind of like, let's try to figure out how to like, articulate something, the best, but even if that takes 5, like if you take Sam Harris as the extreme example of that, he takes like 2 hours to say like one kind of thing, and you could almost be like, yeah, it's this, right? Like if he legitimately, if he wanted to say like a computer's round or a computer's square, sorry, he would be like, and there are other shapes that can fit that same dimensions, but from a general perspective, and he just goes on and on and on to say the most basic point, where I think in comedy, it's literally the opposite, where you're just trying to take the whole thing and funnel it into the smallest thing, and then they use the small words. So that's why almost like big word people almost annoy me, because you're just like, well, yeah, it's easy to articulate a point with big words. That's the easy part, because you get to use all the words. Like, how do you articulate it so everyone knows what you're talking about?
Right. Like if you have a half hour to explain like how to make breakfast, like anybody can do that. But it's like,
what did you do? Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a minute or 2 minutes, that's a terrible example.
No,
This is why smart people don't impress me. It's like, yeah, you're full of these big words. You're just stretching out, running around. I think it takes more smarts to, right? Because in comedy, we're sort of brought up and it's hammered into us, economy of words. Say the most you can with the fewest words, and we're constantly reading over our sets, taking out an extra taking out all the extra words.
How do I take a hour-long point and turn it into a minute point? I feel like Sam Harris is like, how do I take an hour-long point and turn it into a 4-hour-long point?
And make it even longer and more boring.
Yeah.
You've gotten a lot. Do you think that your most viral video, I mean, I've known you for so long, so it's hard for me to figure out like, oh, what really put Ryan Long on the map. But I know that the video like that wokes and racists are the same. It has like what 10 million views now. That came out what beginning of the pandemic, I feel like.
Yeah, that was kind of when my YouTube channel was already kicking, but I mean, again, maybe a boring story, but like I already had whatever, like some followers on different platforms from when I moved here from like my TV shows and digital series or whatever. And then all my like stand up like really popped off on TikTok, and that kind of like doubled my
Oh,
YouTube channel.
wow.
And then I had some small ones, like I did this like these like internet tattletale videos, and those were doing like 40,000 50,000 kind of thing. And then I did a Fox News and CNN one, like how those would cover the riots like differently kind of thing.
Had to
And
sell footage, yeah.
yeah, that was kind of like the first one that started to get like 400,000 or 500,000. Then I had like maybe two more that were kind of like that. Then that woke racist one that was like the big one that did like crazy views.
Okay.
But
Right,
also
'cause
sort of there's also like it was almost less that one was such crazy views, because I actually have a few videos that like across platforms did more views, but it was more just like that one contextualized something. It was almost like I guess like everyone, hopefully, like there's a few times in your career where you're like, or whatever, you're like doing internet stuff that you're just like, you were kind of the one that said the right thing at that moment, you know what I mean? And then it almost like you can move past it in a little bit, right? Where it was like that like was kind of the right thing for the moment. So it was almost like it mattered a little bit, even though maybe sometimes there are videos you'll make that have like crazy views, but it didn't seem to like matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I've done anything that's mattered yet, but I think I know what that feeling is. The timing is so important, and
Yeah. I mean, I mean, even like on the big scale, there's these like shows that were way smaller. Like even if you think of like Tim and Eric or something like that was not a enormous show, but it like kind of mattered in terms of like changing the way people do things, or like Portlandia, or even like I like don't like this show, but Girls sort of like was a point where people started changing, and like a lot of people were starting to like move towards that style of comedy, and that was probably like a linchpin, even though no one really watched it. It was just sort of like so I think it was like things can kind of have like some level of importance in like a community or something like that.
yeah, it kind of bothers me that Girls it kind of helped to shape the cultural landscape. I like shudder at that because it's like, oh, she's just glamorizing like being a fat slut, like big deal. Like,
You know what though? I kind of look back at it, and I'm like, it's more gross now because it became like a lot of times it starts and you're like, oh, that's never happened before, right? And then when everyone was doing it, now you're like another person glamorizing a fat slut.
yeah,
I even
you
look
want to be
back
the
at
first.
well, I even look back at like things that I do, because the internet moves so quickly, where you'll see something 2 years ago and you're like, it's almost like, oh, I would never make that. But that one of the reasons is sometimes you're a part of the thing that made it, you and a few people made something, and then it became like everyone was making that. Now you're just like, I would never make that. But
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It just jogged something. I was like, at the beginning of the pandemic, I did this. Remember when Gal Gadot was singing like Imagine, and she was trying to like bring all of us peons together by calming us down with a song with different celebrities. And it was
yeah,
like Imagine there. So me and a bunch of comics, like we
yeah, I
did like
remember.
Kung
Yeah, yeah,
Flu
yeah.
Fighting or whatever. And that got me in a ton of shit. People thought, oh, you're so racist. The trolls were signing me up for like Asian newsletters and stuff. The ways in which people trolled me back were like pretty interesting, like signing me up for like newsletters or mailing lists or like classes. Like I'd get emails
I guess
about
that
like
is kind of
learn
funny.
Chinese. Why?
I mean, I'd way rather have that than troll you by mass reporting you.
Yeah. What videos of yours do you think you got the most kickback for? Or blowback? It's probably the better word.
Oddly, well, I mean, there's been a few that, like became a few big ones where, all these people made reaction videos, and, I've had like people try to mass flag and all that sort of stuff. But the biggest one where I probably have never experienced like just inbox full of, not even kidding, like 1,000 per inbox, maybe more, was this one I made about Will Smith. And it was like, yo, his fans just went crazy.
Why did Will Smith's fans come after you?
'Cause
What video is this?
It's almost like stan culture is almost as aggressive as, people trying to get you fired culture. And it, like, in a lot of ways, it's funny when you'll see the two of them combined. Like, people are trying to cancel someone that has just this crazy fan base, like a guy from One Direction or something like that. Like, those kind of super celebrity stans are almost more aggressive than your, Daily Beast reporter or whatever. So I made this video when it actually was before the Will Smith thing was happening, but it got mad then. But then after the Will Smith thing happened, I made this
Was
one
it this
where
a message to Will Smith from Jada's Entanglements? I wonder if I can play a little bit of real copyrights.
What's going on, Will?
Hey, Will. I know you've been feeling down lately, so Jada called some of the guys and asked us if we did a little video for you.
So here it is, buddy. I hope it helps.
I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the maintenance guy that came around to fix your sink, and I ended up tagging Jada in the bathroom while you were upstairs.
Dude, she cares about you. Just last week, after a 2-hour piping, she's still talking about how much she cares about you, how good of a father you are.
Big Willie, listen, I know you've had trouble satisfying her in the past. That's never been an issue for me, but to each his own. And again, we do know that you've been having trouble pleasing her, so we're all doing our part to take some of that
DJ/unemployed.
Yeah, the whole bit was, it was just like all the guys, it's like, I don't know, all the guys, they were banging his wife, like making him a video to feel better. But
You're like, don't worry, bro. We all go through it. Like, she really still thinks of you.
yeah, it wasn't even on like, so, and then but there's like some, the funny lines like, just I was at your house the other day banging her, and by the way, that cabinet, was that oak? Like, it's just super nonchalant. But that was probably the most I've ever experienced, where it was like my social media accounts were like unusable for 2 days. It was
really like, you couldn't go on there. Did you have to did you ever? I mean, you would never private your accounts. You're not that kind of guy.
No, I didn't private them. But it was, I mean, I haven't. I don't know if like maybe under the right circumstance I would. I don't know. But like, I think maybe like, but in this scenario, I did not. It was just, but they were like unusable from how much like Will Smith fans were. I still I don't check my Facebook inbox, but like still, if I check notifications on there, it'll be like a few a week of people just like flipping out, like fucking don't talk shit about.
That's
Will
pretty
Smith.
amazing. Like my friend Anna, that Star Wars girl, she stepped in it with Lizzo, and she felt the same wrath of her fans.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the exact same thing.
This is why the government like loves working with celebrities, is the power they have, the influence they have. Like, it's so much easier to like simp and have posters of celebrities on your wall than to be like, I have a Nancy Pelosi poster on my wall. Like, that just, politicians aren't cool, and celebrities are like the pipeline, and they know how much pull they have and influence. So it's like, oh yeah, let's just have Cardi B interview Joe Biden. Boom.
I think it's musicians more. Like, I don't know if, I guess Will Smith's both, but
he's a triple threat.
He's one of the greatest musicians of all time, man. The thing, but I don't know if like, do you think Brad Pitt has people that are like that? Like, you do not, like, I don't know. It seems like it's mostly musicians, and then the odd, like, I guess, actor that appeals to like certain demo or something. But like, I can't imagine that Justin Long people are going that crazy.
Well, he fell off. Oh my God, he blew up with the Apple ads. The Apple.
He was the guy for a second, right?
And then, man, I don't know what he's doing now. But like, I don't know. I feel like I've heard so many people praise you and your videos. Like, I know Tim Pool is such a big fan of you. He always talks about you. How did you guys kind of, meet, become buds? Because I know he's mentioned, wanting to like work with you in different projects. So how did you guys kind of get acquainted?
He just started playing the videos on his show, and then people would like tag me in it or whatever. And then it was like really not a good, it's like the most standard story. And then they were like, hey, you want to come on if you're coming through with DC? And I was like, sure.
Yep. That's probably what I meant.
I think that's most people. Yeah. The story is either like, you're like, oh, I know them from comedy in New York, or it's like they messaged me on the internet and asked me to do the show.
He always talks about you when he mentions like comedians going against the grain. How does that make you feel? I mean, like, that's high praise from somebody like Tim Pool.
Yo, have you been? You've been to the show, right?
Yeah, I did it last March. It was fucking awesome. It was a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
experience.
dude.
Yeah.
His like that house is like wild. That one thing that when like him and a few other people that I've done their show, like it does make me think like, yo, you need to have just like having like a compound in the middle of nowhere, especially when you're like people like Joe Rogan or whatever that are just like a news story every week. Like I think it does help to just have like a place with your like employees like in close
Yes.
contact that like people come into your orbit, but you're sort of like a little bit detached from the outside world because it almost like you have to be a little bit to have that level of
That would never
level of
work.
talked
Imagine
about.
trying to do what they do in like a Brooklyn apartment. You're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta go wait downstairs at the Chinese food shop because we don't have a green room because it's just a railroad apartment.
Yeah, and also just being like in the city and in the mix. Like there's something about being just like outside of the whole thing that allows you to sort of like
Focus, kind of, I think.
focus,
Like,
but also more importantly tune out the like noise, which I feel like that's probably like the hardest part about doing like internet stuff is like how do I just ignore all this shit, but then at the same time how do I not become out of touch with it but also don't let it affect me.
it's a balance. And once I moved out of, I've never lived in Manhattan, but I lived in Queens. I lived in Brooklyn for probably 4 years in Queens, like 3 years in Brooklyn. Once I moved out, I was like, I realized something about the city. It's very easy to think that you're busy and have a lot going on just because you live in a city and you think
Yeah.
you're with it. And because things are happening around you, you don't necessarily have to be doing anything all that important or working all that hard. But I realized like, oh, when I moved out, I'm like, oh, you're as busy as you make yourself and you're not I was just I remember being very afraid to move out of the city, and then the pandemic happened and it became cool to move out of the cities. So I was ahead of that curve. But again, like, yeah, you think you're going to be out of touch. But again, like we all have the same, you can be as busy and as you want really and live wherever you want.
I know, especially if you like probably look at your days and you're just like, what really am I benefiting from being in the city?
Did I need to have access to a $15 salad? Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm still staying here, and I'm like, if I had been in New York my entire life, or even in America my entire life, I think I would feel at this point in my life, I'd be like, yeah, let me like move to one of those places. But because I just am somewhat still new here, I feel like I'm still have more time of living in the thick of it, even though it's like a ripoff and everything like that.
When did you move to this country from Canada?
Like 3 years ago.
Wow. So right.
Yeah,
Was
but
it
like, yeah,
2020?
it was right before the pandemic, and that's
Oh,
like even right
my
now.
God.
I do have like, even the comedy clubs of doing like, I still, because I'm touring a lot, so it is only a couple nights a week, but like doing the 6 shows, I'd rather be kind of like still in the mix, and that's like close to me as opposed to training in, or I don't know, it's just whatever. I still think
Yeah.
I think I'm still like city boy. I've got a few more years of that in it.
Yeah.
And I've always lived in cities, like ever since I was like 18, so.
The city is great. I think it's like when once you start thinking about like, all right, you found your person, or maybe you want to have a family, then it makes sense. But it's
Yeah, there's
easier to do.
it's like when you actually do the math, that's why it's like hard to have the conversation, because when you actually do the math, you're just like, yeah, why would anyone take this deal unless, especially when people are working remote? Like it absolutely makes no sense. But there are just some like intangible benefits that's probably like hard to explain. And there is like a pacing. There is as much as I was saying, like if you're in the middle of nowhere, there is a benefit to once you're in your, the same way that if you're like, it's probably to be better to be single, but when you're moving around and trying to figure out, but once you figure out what you're doing, you're actually like on a path. It probably makes more sense to be in a relationship to some degree.
Yeah.
Like to calm your mind and actually focus. But sometimes focus is bad if you haven't figured out what you're focusing on. But
I think you're describing ADD. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the same thing. Like if you want to be like in a mix if you're kind of trying to figure out what you're going to spend all your time on. But if you're like, this is my business, I'm running it, this is what I'm doing, this is what my days look like. If it's a little more, then there is no, benefit to being in the mix of things. But I think that it's not that likely that you see people that are, most people that like built great things, they did live in the thick of, metropolitans at some point, because that's like the fast-paced energy of people that are trying to create something great. And that energy exists, and that like mentality exists more so in the cities than other places, and it isn't like important to be around.
And it makes sense, especially for what you do. You'll do all these sketches, and you're like, okay, quick, who can I cast? Who's in the air? You can get 10 comedians like that are buddies that are funny and talented like that, and you can shoot something that
Huge,
week.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, and if you're running like an internet thing, but if you're running like a podcast that's in person, like, yeah, unfortunately, like, unless you want to fly people down every day, like, you're not gonna live in
I would love
Dallas.
to get to that level. Like, I don't know, maybe have like a guest house or something. Like, oh, that'd be really neat. Just, I don't know, make my own mints or something.
Now we're talking.
A girl could dream. Matthew David Ryan's man on the street interviews are amazing. Talking to the dude about posting on Facebook about support for pegging is still one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know that one. The black guy. Those are it's always when it gets sad. Like that was one of my favorite formats, was like getting someone to agree to something, like in theory, and then trying to have them follow through on it. If that makes sense. Like,
oh, was one of those like the trying to raise money for Tucker Carlson or something?
Yeah, well, that was more, I knew people weren't going to like it from the start, but I think that one would be, one of my favorite ones is saying like, hey, is your household like sexist? I'm just like making sure. And then they're like, no, of course not. And then I'd be like, would you mind if I come back and check on it with you? And then they're like, well, no. And I'd be like, well, if you have nothing to hide, like, why would it be a problem? Like, just like forcing.
Like the immediate closeness that you
that's
develop.
Yeah. But that's what this was, the pegging thing, and being like, trying to get people to support pegging when they agreed, like saying that I want them to post on their Facebook that they support pegging. Like, no one would want to do that, and be like, well, why? Like, what do you not support the community? Just put just one post online and we'll move from that. And then that guy just got like super sad.
Do you feel like, because you kind of look like you could be a huge liberal, do you feel like you can get kind of close or get answers out of people with man on the street? Or do you feel like people misjudge you sometimes in a way that you can benefit from?
I think it's less that my politics look a certain way or whatever, as much as like I think that I look stupid. So I think that do you know what I mean? I think that less people see me as like, maybe some, but I think people less see me as like, oh, this guy's this like Brooklyn hipster. I don't feel that when I talk to people, because I'm like,
you're Canadian.
Yeah, but also I just feel like that stereotype that like your Brooklyn hipsters look like me is a little 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, even longer than that. Yeah. I remember when I first moved to Brooklyn, like 2012 or something. Yeah.
Like,
And
really, most people that you know that kind of look somewhat like I do, like, aren't really that, you know what I mean?
That
Like,
your look
telling
has
you
sort of
about-
spread out to a lot of different.
Yeah,
become
exactly. So
watered
I
down.
think it's way more what when I do street interviews, it's more that people think I'm like retarded. Like which I kind of am, very like loopy and stuff like that in a lot of ways, but
You're like a puppy. You just have like this open, happy, trusting energy, and you just like stick a microphone in somebody's face. It's like,
yeah. I mean,
ignore.
it's like almost that is like a tactic to get things, is play stupid or whatever. Obviously, it's like what girls do in a lot of ways, right?
I've been doing it my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is like such a comedy tactic, period. But it's like, I think you have to have a little bit of you are actually stupid in you to like pull it off. But then, so it's more. Yeah. I think my like brain moves quick, but I'm also like able to have like an energy of everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's. I mean, that was what Ali G was like. Same thing is like everyone's just like, who is this idiot? So it's like kind of lets their guard down.
Was he kind of like a little bit of an inspiration for you? Like, who did you like to watch?
Yeah, I liked him. I always think he was like one of the best that ever did it, but he was like, I'd been kind of doing this stuff for a little bit when that show came on the air. Like it was like Tom Green, and I guess like the original before that was like the Pauly Shore show. Like he was kind of the original like one doing that, and then like there's like a few shows in like Canada. One was called like Buzz TV, and then there was Jamie Kennedy experiment I really like. So I liked like all of them. Tom Green was probably like the number one.
So what year did you start? And did you just start like doing open mics? Like how did you?
No,
get
I
into
was just
comedy?
I was like playing in bands and I was doing all these like on the street videos, like not like I was just doing like
Were you a
like
lead singer? You
Jackass.
seem like
Yeah,
a lead
yeah, yeah.
singer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was doing like jackassy stuff like when I was in like high school. Like I was just like into that, super into that stuff. Like
Just jump
kin-
into a shopping cart and see what happens.
Yeah, almost pre-YouTube. And then I was in like the band for a while, and then I started doing TV shows, and then I started doing stand-up after I was doing the like TV shows, doing this stuff. So I was actually doing the like on the street messing with people stuff before stand-up.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is from Hughesy. Hey, Brian, we may look a lot alike, but that doesn't mean that you get to keep giving my girl the sausage. You got that?
Yeah, I reckon. I remember Easy. Oh yeah.
Or Hughesy again. Tim Pool's hat looks stupid. That's the super chat.
Boom!
Boom!
Roasted.
Roasted by Hughesy. How is he going to recover? Matthew Hammond. How did Ryan meet Danny Polischuk? He killed it in Nashville.
I'm glad you thought that because that was like my probably the worst at comedy that I've been in Nashville.
Oh no! What happened?
Well, I basically that was the first time like I recorded my last special, and that was the first I started doing a new hour from scratch, and that was the first time I did it. So it was like I was literally being like, fuck, I had like 15 minutes over. I'd been in the city, like kind of grinding for about 3 months. It had not been that long. So I literally was doing an hour that I put together in like 3 months, which is, as you know, is like pretty wild. So it was like, even the jokes that were kind of working, it was kind of like, okay, they're all like a minute. I didn't really have like transitions.
Okay.
It was just like, that was the first time being like, can I even do this? So I was kind of doing a lot of crowd work. And then I think by the last show of that weekend, I was a little like, all right, well, I was like, okay, 15 minutes of this is like nothing. So it was just the first time that I was trying to do stand up again after like starting a new hour. So that's why I
You
was just
really do feel like naked again. Like
Oh, it's
after
insane.
I just I dropped. How do I talk about that sounding like a douchebag? I just made an album. It came out, recorded it in January, it came out in March, and now I am like, yeah, like starting this new out. You do feel like like
crazy.
you get this feeling of like, can I do this again? Am I just a comedian who only has this 1 hour? And it's a little bit frightening at first.
Well, I knew I could do yeah, that is a bit, but also I've done this a bunch of times, but I wasn't in that specific weekend. I wasn't like, can I do this again? I was like, can I do this for an hour? I was like, I know I could do this for about 20 minutes. Like, I was like, if
Right.
I was doing a 20-minute set right now, I could crush. You know what I mean? But I'm like an hour. I was like, I don't have I don't have this much jokes. So
And
that's
you
why I
need-
was rough.
Especially when you're doing an hour, you need a couple of longer bits that kind of like anchor your set, because if you're feeling like all you have are short jokes, they're easy to forget, they're hard to connect, and
Yeah.
then you just like, am I a fucking one-liner now?
And then,
dude?
yeah, worse, you don't have an order, so you're kind of like doing these like 30-second jokes and then looking at your like phone every time. It's just like, which fine if you're like crushing, but if it's kind of like, okay, that joke was nothing, then you go look at your phone, then it was, yeah, I remember being like walking the plank. Remember walking on that stage.
I know sometimes I'll have like a piece
It
of
went
paper
fine, it went
and
fine,
people will
but-
be like, oh, those new jokes, and I have like a fucking 10-year-old joke
Yeah.
just written down.
Yeah. But I'm right.
Okay.
I'm like I'm writing like crazy right now because I'm like, I want to be able to, like, my goal would be to have like almost 2 hours so I can just release one and then like have another one almost ready to
Ooh.
go. So I'm just like, basically 2 days a week, I'm trying to be like just crazy
Just
stand-up
write?
focused where I'm like,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you like to write sitting down, or do you like to write like on stage doing spots, see what comes out?
I just do all of it, but I do sit down and write. So I probably sit down for like 3 hours and like write, and then when I do spots, so like, you know, Friday I did like maybe like 6 shows, and the entire time from like leaving at 7 to going home at around 1, I started having some drinks and not thinking so much about comedy anymore. But like that whole time I was trying to be like sitting in the show, just like thinking, looking at my jokes. I had my headphones in, listening
Good for
to that last
you.
time. So trying to, yeah, actually, and then, walking to the next place, like listening to that set, thinking. So trying to just be like comedy focused the entire time, like that entire 7 hours, and just because I was like, I can't do stand up 7 nights a week again like I used to. So I'm like, how do I squeeze that into like 2 nights?
Yeah, you have to be, and then you realize sometimes working smarter like that is better than like you're going out every night doing one spot. It's like if you have even 2
Yeah.
nights a week where you're like, boom, I do 4 sets or even 3 sets or something.
If you're working
how hard
hard,
you're working
yeah.
it.
Yeah, if you go out and just do jokes, then what are you just wasting your time? But I think, yeah, if you start to get busy, like you can't waste your time, so you just have to be super like
Just efficient as fuck. Yeah.
yeah.
Listen back to your set. Ugh, what didn't work? That's the hardest part of it for me.
Yeah, it can get pretty not fun, but I don't know. Yeah, because sometimes you do good also. You're just like, all right, so I do that this day, do this day, this day, this day. And you're like, my life might suck.
You're like, what happened to fun? You're like, it is fun to do. It's fun to do well, but like it's stand up is hard work. People think it's like this free for all. Anybody can do it. And it's like,
That's
it's the grind.
Yeah, that in some ways is the hardest part, but I'd still say probably like making sketches and running an internet business is like probably harder.
Yeah, because you need more people to help you.
Yeah, it's easier to do because in terms of like writing, because writing stand up is all about like finding these like tens, whereas I feel like making videos is more about having like a really good idea and then having like a bunch of eights. Like that's way more of what you know what I mean? Like, you probably do a stand up joke that was like, that's pretty like good, but it's not and doesn't really stick. Whereas I think, it's more about like your style, making video, like you kind of, it's just like a different game. So finding those like little tens is a little more taxing on your brain sometimes.
Yeah, they're all different muscles. It's like stand up is a muscle. Being funny just on a podcast is a muscle.
Yeah, that's
like
about
interviewing
being Fyre,
somebody. Yeah. It's a fucking grind, man. From Junior, what was Ryan thinking when he interviewed the girl who talked about destroying her boyfriend's self-esteem? Was this like a man on the street?
Yeah, but that was like, I was saying that one, it's like some random video that probably did more views than like anything I've ever done. But it was just girls. She was talking about like, sometimes you just lower self-esteem, like all this shit. Like quits his rap career. Yeah, it was like, I remember just like leaving being like, that's so funny. Like, but I didn't know it would like explode like that. But I will say, that one, I have felt like kind of bad sometimes with that one because like a lot of the, like it is, to me it was funny, but like whenever I put a video up of like a girl and like too many comments are like, look at this fucking gross bitch, like fuck, you know what I mean? You're just like, I don't
That's not the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just because like I'm like, if she saw this, it would like really hurt her feelings, and normal people probably aren't like used to that. So, and she like, so I think there is some when you have like a big platform, and you're like, yo, am I just like putting this person out there for guys to call her ugly?
But you know what? She could work a little bit harder on her looks,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take it down or anything. No, but I'm saying like, there are times where you like. There are times where, yeah, you're just like, I'm making fun of this person, or I'm going to make this look, especially if they, I don't know if deserve it's the right word, but like that, I mean, that was like Ali G the entire, forever, like Borat, like every movie that came out, like 20 people got fired for the shit they said. But like,
wow.
I think you do make a choice. You're like, yo, am I like finding people on the street, trying to interview them and like putting them out there, trying to like, am I doing, like, at some point it becomes like, am I doing like a gotcha? And I don't think I am.
I mean, they always have the option to not participate. It's not like you're like, I don't know, filming somebody fighting on the subway.
I
Like,
mean, whatever. We can rationalize like anything any way we want, but it's like, I think you find like, what do you want to do? Like, are you here to like, is my goal to interview people and have them be fired? Or is it like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
It's like, I don't think so. So I think you're trying to, there's like 40 types of funny when you're doing that stuff. And I think that does exist and that can be like super funny, but I feel like you just want to be like all the things. If you find yourself where you're like, the last like 8 things that I did were just like, I put someone out there and then everyone's like tagging their employer. You're just like, all right, I don't want to be this guy.
No. Yeah, you definitely don't want anybody to lose their job unless they talk shit about me on Twitter. Then
Dude, that was like by the
release
end.
hounds.
Yeah, but like by the end, like the Sachamaran Cohen stuff is like him trying to like find a guy, like have him say something racist and like have him be fired from his job. Kind of, right? I don't know.
Kind of, yeah.
Like that would have been like, I'm sure that would have been like a huge win for them. You know what I mean? If they,
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. And sometimes that stuff is funny. So you just
It definitely is funny. Yeah, I don't think is it their intent to cancel somebody? I don't know. For me, I wouldn't want to.
No, but
the
there's
ideal.
but there's the willful ignorance. Like you know what's gonna happen. I mean, listen, like there's a point where, like, okay, you know, there's a point where you've been doing this long enough that you like know how the internet works, right? And you can, if you have like 1 million followers, you can say, oh, I just want everyone to see this thing. But you also know that you're like, I'm telling everyone to swarm them. Like, you know, so it is what it is. Like,
Okay, I'll give you an example.
I
There
mean, like
was a
libs
guy-
of TikTok or whatever, is
Okay.
that, or like, you know, I always say that's like right wing, like Sean King now. But it's like, you know what you're doing. Yeah.
I'll give you an example, Ryan, and you tell me if I did the wrong thing. So there's this guy.
That's up to you.
who
That's your like own personal
tweeted-
taste.
Who tweeted out, didn't tag me, by the way. Just like found the tweet through like searching my name on Twitter, and he was like, this red-pilled girl was just on Alex Jones. She's the ex-girlfriend of my best friend, and she came to my wedding. Her name's Chrissie Mayr, and she sucks, and we're going to talk about her on the next episode of my podcast or whatever, something like that. And I just quote tweeted it like, your wedding must have sucked because I don't remember you. And then within like maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, he like privated his account, deleted the tweet, blocked.
That's fair. That's like mad fair game. I mean, that guy.
Okay.
That guy was like, yo, I'm going to enter like the public sphere to like talk shit about you. And they forget that you're like, yeah, I can like talk back now. It's not that simple. Yo,
It's
that's
just
like
so
a guy
crazy
that
to me. It's
started
like-
it. That's like mad
like
fair
a-
game. That's if someone makes a reaction. Dude, if someone makes a reaction video about you and you like make one back, like that's the game, dude. Although I do get like that's the game, but like I do get like being like a small person and then you're just like, you know, I'm making like a video about whatever, like I don't know, like a Destiny or whatever, like someone that's like pretty big, and you have like 1,000 followers, and then they like start commenting back, and you're like, I didn't think of that. I thought I was saying this to like almost my friends, you know.
That's how I felt when Chrissy Teigen responded to one of my
Yeah,
tweets. I was
exactly,
like, oh my God.
right?
I was like, wait a minute, why? And then I was also like, aren't you better than this? Like, I'm not verified. What are you doing here?
You're just like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to see this. I remember I've said this before, but it's like funny to me that because I forgot, like sometimes you forget, like as your platform gets like bigger too. There was like a New York Times writer who was like, I remember he made this article that was kind of like, why the WNBA is actually pretty good, right? Like some shit like that. And then I like quote tweeted him being like, you know, like whatever, like quality journalism or whatever, right? Like, but I was like, you know, they're just so glad for these hard hitting like pieces. I've been saying this forever, like just trashing him, right? And then like, because it kind of whatever, like let's say I got like 5,000 likes and whatever, right? And then this guy underneath it just commented, wow, I worked really hard on this article. Thanks, dude. Like some shit like that. Like it just bummed him out. Like, cause he was like following me and shit. Or I was just like,
That's so funny, actually.
that was like, that's way worse than him just getting mad. Like if he just
Yeah.
like tweeted me back being like, yo, this guy like sucks or whatever. But like for him to be like, dude, you like hurt my feelings. I was like,
This
yeah,
makes me sad.
that's way worse. Yeah. When someone's like mad at you, but dude, people are, I mean, I didn't like get that when I was, cause I've been like, dude, I was in the industry like to some degree. I'd like had TV shows and I don't know. I just wasn't like, I didn't get the internet game. So now I feel like I get it where, cause I would be so mad sometimes with the people that were making reaction videos. Cause they'd be like saying all this stuff and I'll be like, yo, that's not what I think. That's not even what I said. Like you're just arguing with something that's, and I would, but now I realize I'm like, yeah, they're morons and like they're just everyone's looking for a thing to just like slot in their thing or whatever. So yeah, then you respond to it if you want to. But
it's not about being understood. Like, people are not trying to understand you.
Yeah,
They're
and you're
trying to
not
get
going.
attention.
No one's gonna. Yeah, you're always gonna be misrepresented, and either you like ignore the commentary section of YouTube, or you like become someone that responds to that. And I don't really know if there's like a grade in between. I feel like I understand the internet like way better now than I did like 3 years ago. After like how much I've fucking had to be like engulfed in it so quickly.
I feel people see this way, but I want to know if you agree. Do you think people get frustrated when they can't put you in a box, or they'll say things like, "Oh, Ryan's like a fence sitter, or he's a liberal, or he's a secret whatever"? I get the sense that people, like, you don't come out and say your position on things. You're just trying to be funny and make sketches, but I feel like people will see that and they really want to figure out what team you're on so they can know what box to put you in.
Yeah, people want to figure out like on you if people think that that you align with them, they get mad that you won't do it if you then the other way. Yeah, of course. But that's like how people's brains work, right? So it really is I get the like brain mechanism where people's brains can't have just a bunch of people that they can't place, right? So it's like it's very hard for them, but like so people are just going to misplace you forever, but the people that actually pay attention to you, like how many times have you been like a fan of someone and someone will be like, "Oh, he just thinks this," and you're like, "What are you fucking like?" You know, like anyone that's like popular, I think is going to be like misrepresented. And ideally, the more clear you are to the people that actually follow you, the more that it just discredits them. Like in some ways, if your people all like know what you think and people are trash talking you and they're saying things that aren't true, it's like almost better because they're like, you know, if someone argued that like my arms, I need to work out harder, you know what I mean? Like you'd be like, your people might be like, "Oh, that might be making a good point." If someone argued that I'm like too fat, like, you know what I mean? Ryan's too fat. You just be like, what are you even talking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it just, sometimes it just makes people's arguments like so out of left field that you're like, that's not even close to what this guy thinks. So I think that happens to, anyone that has like any sort of like a nuanced opinion.
And I think sometimes people will see just like a slice of your personality and they'll think that that represents the whole of you. Like I think I saw someone was talking about like Elsa Jean, this like porn star who I had on my show, and they're like, "Well, Elsa did Chrissie Mayr's show, and she's a conservative podcaster, so she must be da 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 da." I'm like, okay, I just still think it's funny when people call me a conservative, but I probably am more that than like a foaming at the mouth liberal. But then you'll see people that'll be like, "Oh, she has sex workers on her show. Like she's definitely not a conservative. She's trash. She's liberal or whatever." And it's like, it's okay to kind of be all those things. Again, like I'm not trying to be like a pundit and represent, like I'm just trying to be funny, and I don't know, if anything, maybe more libertarian. But again, like,
but I think that even, what you're saying, like people, that's people that like don't understand how culture is moving. Like that is a huge pocket of, like, if you look at, hip hop and like, black red pill guys, like whatever you want, like that whole
like
community.
Bryson Gray or
I don't know him specifically if he would fit into like what I'm about to say, but I was going to say like, guys that, kind of thought Trump was cool, but also were into like getting pussy and like strippers and all that shit. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like that's like a huge like type of thing that exists. Like it's kind of like a masculine more culture. It's like,
I mean, being a patriot.
yeah, I don't know if that's
just loving Trump and
it's way more of like a masculine thing. They're just like, this like liberal shit's like for girls. You know what I mean? I think that, but that there's all these like pockets that people like want to ignore exist. So they just try to put it into categories, but really it all kind of boils down to more like male, woman, decentralized, centralized. Like those are probably the two, feminine, masculine, centralized, decentralized are probably the two spectrums that to me actually make sense. The liberal conservative one, like they've engulfed too many different things that are not even alike.
You strike me as a little bit maybe more of like a libertarian if you had to go somewhere.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess I think it depends on this. You know what I always think? It probably depends on what scenario I'm in. If I was in a scenario where it was like complete anarchy, I might be like, all right, there needs to be some order here. It probably makes more sense for us to like pool some money together to get the roads, but like, or whatever it is. But if you're in a scenario, like I see a lot of those things as like medicine more than I see them as like overarching philosophy sometimes. But if you're in a scenario that like everything's getting so centralized, you're like, yeah, we need to decentralize this. But I also see, I don't know, like what answer is there other than like any society like just naturally kind of becomes more socialist. That's just like what happens. So you're not like the answer to that. If you want to do anything like new and important, it has to sort of be outside the box. So it has to be sort of like outside that system. It's just like, I don't see like much way around it. Like if you want to do anything like really like interesting, like whether that be a new company or like new technology or like, a comedy, that it has to operate outside the system. So like naturally you have to be kind of like finding like a decentralization, which I guess like is libertarian. Yeah.
Give me an example of this, of what you're talking about.
Okay. Like right now they had the like, industry of comedy, right? And that became like increasingly more centralized, where it's like, hey, like at some point it was more all over the place, and then it became like, here are the 4 studios, here's the system. If you want to be a comedian, there's this Comedy Central, then you could do the late night. Like it became very systemized is what it is, right? So anyone, and then
you'd be on like a track. You'd be like, that's the mainstream track.
And as things become more systemized, they also become more like regimented, and people sort of start to do the same thing because they go, this is the thing that works. The rules become more clear. Like you can't say this here. Like if you want to be part of this system, like this is what works. You work clean. Like let's say you need to have these like it all just becomes more like systemized, and then people can try to be outliers, but why would you? Like it doesn't make any sense.
That's the path to success, and that's why like
why would you fight that forever? It's it's almost those fights that you like, even in like anyone who works like at a TV show, like you can be the guy that or in a relationship, like you pick your battles. Like if you have a different philosophy, eventually you just kind of like settle in a little bit and pick your battle. So I think that the same thing happens. So if you want to do anything different, like the only thing you can do is sort of, push for like a decentralization. So I think that like there's always going to be like a push for like creating new systems from people that want to do, like innovative things. And then there will always be like a push for centralization for people who like want sort of like a more comfortable society, which is most people. So that fight will probably just always take place forever. Like that San Francisco became like super centralized. Now all of the like certain people that were in tech all moved to like Austin, and they're kind of starting again, the like Peter Thiels of the world. Like, so it's like that fight just goes on everywhere in the world for all of history. So I don't know if anyone would be like, yeah, it'll just be like this perfect, it'll be this or it'll be that. Like when people say libertarian, it's like, if you had the perfect libertarian society, it would just slowly drift back to it's like they're always like, it's just like these constant like battles that always exist, I think.
Yeah, libertarianism is like by definition outside of the norm. If they were ever welcomed in truly as like a third party, how would that change things?
Well,
like,
they have sort of like a different, like they have there's like 2 types of probably people that there's people that are like, oh, we'll be a party and sort of change culture, and then we'll, kind of make a difference in politics probably. And then there's the people that are like, hey, we're going to like create a new like country on the web. And I think those people are probably actually the ones that actually make differences more than people that enter politics as that. Like change like in a lot of ways, like actually have this guy Balaji Srinivasan on my podcast. He's like probably I think's like one of the smartest guys. And
what's his name? Bellagio?
Balaji. But I can never pronounce his last name. Hold on, this guy's like the man. He's coming on my podcast, so probably people can see it very soon. But it is Srinivasan. But I'm not good at pronouncing Indian names. But it's like, I feel like he's a good guy that points out the idea that like remote work did more to change society than any laws or whatever, you know what I mean? Or the fact that you can like hire someone working in India, like that's going to do so much more for libertarianism than, you know what I mean, than anything else. Like kind of technology and like decentralization and fucking cowboys in the new Silicon Valley. I feel like by actually action will do the same reason why I think comedians do way more to change people's opinions than probably people at Daily Wire ever will. Like because that's not what they're there for. They're there for to, you know, sort of be like a mouthpiece for like one side of like a cultural norm. And that's like, doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't need to matter, but I don't think it like changes anything.
Yeah.
Not that some people don't want change, right? But like, I just think when you're talking about the like libertarians versus the socialism, it's like the ones who really change like the way that the world will work probably don't even like bother themselves with thinking about whether it's good or bad. They just kind of like do things that change the world.
Do you think it's important for a comedian like yourself to not really take one side politically, one way or the other? Maybe it could just be you personally, like, you know,
I just don't think I
bent
have
that way.
I just don't think I like have one like in that sense. I mean, you have your own natural inclinations, but like society always changes. So if you have even if you have like if you're in touch with like who your personality and your sentiment, I think for most people, like, well, then as soon as everything changes and like different things become to different terms, like if you say I'm a this, and then they go, oh, we think this now. Like, you know, if you look at even in the last 4 years, like the fights that all these sides have had have changed drastically, you know, like what the big pushes are and what like the consensus that we're all fighting against, like that changes so quickly. So, I mean, if you want to be like lockstep with that, then you're probably not that in touch with what you actually think. You're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm going to get on board with what like the people around me think.
Right. So it's just like know what issues you care about, but that's true. When you kind of join up with a side, you're going to be a little bit subconsciously like, oh well.
Also, people also like people naturally get carried away, right? So it's like almost human nature to get carried away. You know what I mean? So in a lot of ways,
like during the riots, yeah, the summer of love.
Whatever like group, whatever the amount of times that I've had like a very strong opinion, and even it doesn't have to be political. Like imagine that you have an opinion that I think that this band is the best band, and then the world starts to agree. Then they're on every channel, and then they're everywhere, and then everywhere you go, everyone's talking about how great they are. And at some point, the level of everyone saying they're great is higher than how great they actually are. And then you become the person being like, I mean, they're not that great. Now, all of a sudden, your take becomes, so you're always in some ways arguing against consensus. So it's like, and then what side of you take against the consensus becomes like, that be your side of the argument. But really, so I think in comedy, a lot of times I find myself arguing against like what the popular opinion is more than I find myself arguing for a specific like thing.
That is a really good description of what you do, because I'm going to share this video.
You're looking at the discrepancy, right? If everyone says this is amazing and you're like it's medium, then you're arguing that it's bad. If everyone says it's medium and it's, you know, if anyone says it's terrible and I think it's medium, then I'm arguing it's good. So you're kind of like,
you're like, what is the consensus and how do I go against, or how do I at least poke holes in
if
the
I
consensus?
disagree with it? If I agree with it, I usually just don't talk about it, because if I, there's been a few times lots of times probably where everyone thinks something and I actually do agree with it, and you're like, well, there's probably no point in me making a video that I agree with like what everyone's already saying everywhere.
Yeah. What? The trans movement is toxic? No way. I love, this is a section of this video that you put out, gosh, like last week, advertising in 10 years. And it's all about like BlackRock taking over all the, like, I guess, major properties. And you're like, it was Procter & Gamble, but now it's just Gamble because Procter was spreading misinformation during the, whatever, the pandemic. Hold
Pandemic
on,
12.
This part is so funny.
But that's all behind us because Mr. Clean is now MX Clean. And we're happy to announce that he's in a wheelchair and neurodivergent. Speaks Stephen Hawking style, if you remember that guy. Typewriter, time to clean. Still has gay orgies despite the disabilities. If you look at the back of the box, there's a list of MX Clean's favorite wheelchair accessible bathhouses. But that's not all, folks. MX Clean has, and you guessed it,
Oh no.
dyslexia. And the words on the box will be scrambled. If he can't read them, no one can. Count Chocula, pronouns vamp self, gay necrophiliac. And there's nothing wrong with that. Couple bodies on the box. He's eyeing them. Little wink to the kids. Let them know stuff's about to go down. Jolly Green Giant is now the Jolly Queer Regular. His best part, the queer regular is blind and retarded, but also the CEO of a BlackRock hedge fund, because there's nothing the queer regular can't accomplish. And lastly, M&Ms are just being replaced with a bunch of black guys. That's right, we've managed to purchase the likeness of all members of 90s R&B group Bone Thugs and Harmony. And
And you're just talking about like one was like Fruit Loops and like Toucan Sam. You're like, he can't smell, so we're cutting off the noses of everybody around him. And you talk so fast, I think it's hard for the algorithm to flag you.
Yeah, I do get flagged sometimes, but sometimes I beep stuff out. Isn't that? Yeah, there's like tricks to do, but yeah, I feel like that always makes me laugh. Like the idea that we're happy to announce he's retarded. Like I love the idea of like being excited to announce that like our new mascot has like disabilities. It's like such a funny thing.
Yeah, you're celebrating ineptitude.
Well, I remember I've never been able to like properly make this a joke, but I can't remember. It was kind of, there was like an article and it was like, I just want to say that, people were saying that this guy in a wheelchair, like there's something worse about being in a wheelchair. And I was like, it's pretty objectively worse to be in a wheelchair. Like, I think that even like someone in a wheelchair would be like, yeah, given the choice, I wouldn't have this. Like you go,
I don't know.
yeah.
The parking is better.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait in line at amusement parks.
But you go, he's not less of a person, but I think that if you're saying it's not better to not be that, like it's clearly not better to be that. But that like that one always like sticks with me. Is like so funny. Like it's almost like positive to be like lose your leg. You're like yes.
You're like yes. No, I have extra victim status. This might be a troll. Dr. French Fries, Brian, you grew up rich. Why did Gavin fake an FBI raid? That I don't know.
I actually didn't. My my dad kind of has like money now, but like we grew up like suburbs, like pretty normal. I'd say now that I left, he was balling. I think growing up, like it was probably like I don't know, one family household that made like 120K kind of thing. Nothing too crazy, but did Gavin fake an FBI raid?
I think to be funny.
I don't know about.
I don't really know.
Well, but was that fake? I didn't think that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That like Gavin McInnes getting like raided by the FBI thing didn't happen?
Nope. It was right before he went on break. I think he's gonna be like away for a week or something.
Was that like a prank?
Yeah. Yeah, he just like staged the whole thing. He wasn't raided.
Oh, he was like that was
I
like a
wouldn't have
prank
done
in
that.
relation to the Trump thing?
Maybe, yeah.
And
But
then
I
when did he come out and say that?
I think actually it was Owen Benjamin who kind of outed him about it.
But if it was
Owen Benjamin posted like their texts. It might have been like a couple days later.
Oh, so he was like
So he was not swatted at all.
I mean, that is kind of funny, but like I guess like why didn't he like say that or something? I don't know.
He never
I
like
haven't
came out
followed
and
that
said,
enough,
yeah. I don't know. It's
Well, I
not
guess the
something I
answer
would
to
have
that
done
question
because
is
so
to
many
be funny.
people are getting swatted, and it's like, what if you're the boy who cried SWAT now? Like, what if it actually happens, and then people don't want to, support you? But
Yeah.
he's kind of a kooky man, so.
I mean, that is like kind of a funny prank, but I guess the prank needs the part where you tell people that you pranked them.
Right, it needs the other half of it. From NVIDIA, they're not less of a person; they're just less of that person. Yes, if you were to lose.
That's pretty good.
You were to lose a leg. That was pretty. Funny.
I do gotta go because I gotta do this other interview.
Oh, okay. Ryan, tell the good people where they can follow you. What's coming up?
Yes, so I'm in Jacksonville and Miami this week coming up. San Jose, Tacoma, Los Angeles, Cleveland, Chicago, Cincinnati, Columbus, Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, Austin, Detroit, Portland, Phoenix, Plano, Toronto, Baltimore, Buffalo, and that's RyanLongComedy.com. And The Boys cast with Ryan Long, and everything's at Ryan Long Comedy. Thank you.
Awesome. Go see Ryan. Go to a show.
Yeah, come to the
Super
show.
funny.
Miami's the worst I've ever sold in a while. So all my other shows are doing good, but for some reason, Miami people aren't coming out.
You need to reach the Hispanics, the Latinxes.
I have no idea, dude.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. Love you.
All right, thanks, Chrissy.
Bye.
Congratulations on getting married too.
Aw, shucks. I did it.
Okay. Thank you. Peace.
Love you. Bye. Okay, got a couple more supas. Matthew Hammond, are comedy movies a thing of the past? Yes, they're done. I think once we get some people with some balls, it still bothers me that Jamie Foxx won't release his basically remake to Tropic Thunder, where he's having Robert Downey Jr. basically do Mexican face. I think it's up to the celebrities and the people that are kind of have more money and like a little bit harder to cancel. I think it's their kind of duty to like pioneer free speech and comedy, but that's not everybody's prerogative. Not everybody is about setting an example. I think a lot of people are just about like getting their money. Nvidia, both of y'all look cute today. I think the hair color really grew on you, Chrissy. Thank you. Yeah, it's a little darker. It's bothering me that this one hair had been out of place the whole time. All right. Thanks, Nvidia. Daniel Jagger, to put a label on it, would Breitbart Democrat work? Interesting. Thanks, bud. Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my God. The compliments are flowing today. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with you guys. Yeah, Ryan Long is great. Go see him. He's working his ass off. Now I'm going to put my dates up. Now my dates are scrolling. Yeah, guys, I'm going to be in Philly this week, Wednesday at Helium, then in Jersey this weekend, Friday and Saturday at the Springfield Comedy Cove, then in Bridgeport, Connecticut on the 22nd. Let's see, New Orleans, September 30th and October 1st. The Orlando Improv, October 27th. Check it out. Check it out, guys. Oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Your mortal terror goes with your sexy red hair. Oh, actually, thank you for asking about the candle. This is a new candle. It's called Midsummer's Night. The throw is not really happening. I really don't smell it. It doesn't smell that much. So that's kind of a bummer. Brittany Venti gave me a candle while I was in Texas. It smells like pumpkin-y. I'm waiting for it to be like officially fall before I light that one up. San Diego tickets are about to go on sale. Well, you don't say. I wish I knew what that date was, but I will tell you as soon as I know. Yeah, I am thirsty. Noodle hat, really? You wanted to? Then why are I only seeing you now? Where have you been for all the 25 years I've been alive? You guys snooze, you lose. This is really funny. This just came out. Oh, man. Billy McFarland is out of jail. Do you guys remember the Fyre Festival? Do you remember the Fyre Festival? Fyre Festival fraudster Billy McFarland celebrates prison release with cocktail party, talks next project. See, I knew he'd come out of this fine. Fyre Festival fraudster Billy McFarland celebrated his release from a halfway house by throwing himself a cocktail party at a Manhattan bistro, according to a report. McFarland, who was sentenced to 6 years in prison in 2018. Did he really serve the 6 years? It's 19. That hasn't been 6 years. Sentenced to 6 years of prison in 2018 after pleading guilty to bilking investors at a sum $26 million following the music festival fiasco. Was released from a Brooklyn halfway house last week. For 6 months, he was required to wear an ankle bracelet monitoring his movements, which were limited to the halfway house, the grocery store, and a gym. On the night he was freed, the 30-year-old, he's 30. He's got his whole life ahead of him. Invited friends to a party at Mary Lou, a French bistro in the East Village. Among those in attendance were 2 of his ex-employees from the Bahamas who worked for him in helping him put together the disastrous music festival on the Caribbean island. McFarland told the New York Times that he's looking to get into tech. He must pay full restitution to his victims. If I worked in finance, I think it would be harder to get back. Oh, he told the Times. Tech is more open, and the way I failed is totally wrong. But in a certain sense, failure is okay in entrepreneurship. McFarland ended, at the end of the day, I think I could probably create the most value by building some sort of tech product. Whether it's within a company or starting my own company, I'm open to both. I'll probably decide the next couple weeks which path to go. The New Jersey native spent 4 years. Wow, he was in prison for 4 years. That flew by for me personally, which included 2 stints in solitary for violating prison rules. Oh my God. McFarland told the Times that he tried to smuggle a USB drive into prison. Uh-oh, where did he try to smuggle it? Probably into his butt. In an effort to gather information for a possible memoir. He told the Times that he now lives in a small apartment in Bed-Stuy. McFarland said his rent is covered by friends and family, though he won't say whether his parents are helping him out. Of course they are. McFarland told the Times that his parents are real estate developers. Stephen and Irene McFarland couldn't grasp how someone they were so close to is capable of lying like I did. I hurt them, and it sucks. McFarland has said he had not apologized to his victims, asking the Times, "What would you say to them if you were me?" He also reportedly took umbrage at press coverage comparing him to Ponzi schemer Bernie Madoff. Madoff died in prison at the age of 82 last year, was sentenced to 150 years behind bars for orchestrating the $17.5 billion Ponzi scheme. I bet he had a poster of him on his wall in prison. He told the Times he never swindled people out of their life savings. It wasn't his intention for his plans to go awry. Yeah, he also had this app or this social club. It was like for like young, like white collar kids, basically, called Magnesis. I was actually a member of it. I knew him. He used to work with one of my ex day job bosses. I might still have his phone number. Let's see if I have his phone number. I could be like, Billy, invite me to your next thing. I don't have it. I have his email though. McFarland enlisted celebrities and social media influencers like Ja Rule, who helped plan the event, Kendall Jenner. God, remember that? That was hilarious. Bella Hadid, Haley Baldwin, Emily Ratajkowski to promote a luxury music festival on the Bahamian island of Exuma in 2017. God, those were the good old days. The pre-COVID Fyre Festival days, the cheese sandwich. Fans paid $12,000 per ticket only to discover the resort was instead a dilapidated collection of tents and mattresses that were turned inside out by a massive storm. But it makes for a great story, doesn't it? Attendees who had been promised lavish accommodations and luxury meals had cheese sandwiches in a box. And then they made documentaries about it. I wish him the best. Good for you, Billy. Crush it. Get out of jail. The world is your oyster. Uh-oh, we got spammers in the chat. Spammers. Yes, he should be a Simpcast guest. That's a great idea. That is a great idea. This is so great. I'm loving this. So Elon Musk's college girlfriend is now auctioning off never seen before pics of him and signed items. And some of them are going for well over $10,000. A birthday card Elon Musk gave his college girlfriend is up for auction. Who would buy this thing? Expected to fetch more than $10,000, one of dozens of items on the block by his Ivy League sweetheart, Jennifer Gwynn, who dated the future billionaire when the two were enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania. Why would you do this? This is so icky. The birthday card Musk gave Gwynn in December of 95 reads, "Happy birthday, Jennifer, a.k.a. Boo Boo. Love, Elon." Oh, look at him. The signed card is expected to sell for more than $10,000 when bidding ends on Wednesday. Gwynn told Daily Mail that Boo Boo was what Musk called her when teasing her playfully. It's like, where are you going to put all your privates? I don't know. Another popular item, a dollar signed by Musk, has a top bid of $7,604 as of early Monday morning. A photograph of Musk sitting at the computer has solicited 26 bids, with the highest bidder willing to fork over $1,355. Wow. Look at them. They look so happy. Gwen, 48, says she's auctioning off the items to help pay for her stepson's college tuition. Tell your stepson to get a job and tell whoever you're married to that they need to pay off the college tuition, unless somebody's dead or something. Aw. Wow. I would like this picture of Elon upside down hanging off a desk. Let's get a picture of Elon doing a keg stand. I kind of miss college now. Gwen and Musk started dating at UPenn in the fall of 94 while they lived in the same dorm as RAs. Musk, the future entrepreneur, would go on to become the world's wealthiest person. Is seen. Why can't she just ask Elon Musk for a loan? They freaking dated. That's what Amber Heard did. Is seen in the photos as a 23-year-old who could be playful, affectionate, and serious and tech savvy. One photo in the collection being put on the block by a Boston-based RR auction shows Musk wearing a Judge Dredd shirt, which pays homage to the comic book character that inspired the movie starring Sylvester Stallone. Oh my God. Look how cute they are. Look at those shorts. Yikes. Who took this photo? They dated for a year. She said she was sweet, but would often withhold PDA. Well, that won't do. Elon was tight with the hugs. Well, here they are cuddling, but it's because it's indoors, not in public. Musk is seen sightseeing at Niagara Falls and hiking in San Francisco. Another photo shows them dining out with 4 classmates at a restaurant. Wow. Is that his mom or her mom? Who's going to buy these? Yeah. This is May Musk. Gwen said that Musk was ambitious and idealistic. She always knew that he would go places. He was very intense, focused on his studies. Back then, he was always talking about electric cars. He was definitely going somewhere. Wow. If someone in college is giving you a gold necklace, like, maybe don't let them get away. That's cute. He saw school as a stepping stone. Their relationship was sweet. Yeah, but he wouldn't hold her hand in public. That's not good. He was shy. That attracted me to him at first. He used to be my type. Then what happened? I think Elon Musk is everyone's type. We were physical when we needed to be, but there wasn't any hand holding. He liked to be together. He just liked having someone there with him. She's also auctioning off the 14-karat gold necklace. Wow. That he bought her while they were visiting his mother in Toronto. That seems weird to auction that off. Who broke up with who? The relationship ended when Musk moved to Palo Alto, California. After that semester, Gwen said she visited him out west once, but they decided to end the relationship. Yeah. If we weren't physically together, it was a problem because he's not good on the phone. He said, it's a waste of time. So he's not mincing words. It was hard. It was not what a 20-year-old woman wanted to hear. I was totally in love with him. Yeah, bigger and better. Just auctioning. Who that I've dated could I auction off stuff from? Probably nobody, because everyone I've dated until Frank has been a loser. So there. I didn't mean to sound shitty, but like, I didn't really have the best choice in men until like 8 years ago. She is hot up for cash. His bank account is my type. That's right, Deb. A gold chain is fine to pawn, but a freaking birthday card is a step too far. Yeah. I like that that's how you can tell she's one of these sentimental ladies. She saves cards. Yeah, this woman is 48, went to an Ivy League school, and can't afford her stepson's tuition. I don't think it should be her that should be paying it. Just tell your stepson to get a fucking job or go to trade school. Exactly. You guys know what's up. All right. We got Wet Spot tonight. Tune in to Compound Media at 7 o'clock Eastern. Who's on the show? Jim Stansel, Stella Carter, and Kevin Dombrowski. Nice. And then Tuesday, me and Frank will be on Quite Frankly over at Zidalza. Then Wednesday, I'm headlining in Philly. Come on out for that. Thursday, I'm interviewing Naomi Brockwell. And Friday, of course, I'm headlining at the Comedy Cove. I'm probably going to miss Friday Night Diets because I'll be driving out there. Huh. Oh, shit, it's my dad's birthday on Friday. All right, I got to send him something gay. I got to send him a gay present. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Ryan Long for coming on. Super funny guy. Super funny sketches. Go see him live. And until next time, bye.